For those who are hoping for all of the end year stuff from 2023 to finally commence, cheer up. This is the last one. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back to wrap up officially 2023. Go ahead and close the books and move on full speed ahead into 2024. It's going to be just where I kind of look at all of the big things that happened on the channel this year. Look at some of my most popular videos. Look at all my books of the month, most read authors, all of that stuff. We're going to kick it off, guys, and we're going to begin with what I read in 2023. Well, I read 107 titles this year. Sounds like a lot, right? Especially when you consider that I don't audio. But there are a couple of little caveats here we should mention. Now, look, 73 novels. That averages out to about 6 per month, which I always said is about what I do. If it's not like an 1,000-page book, I'm usually able to wrap things up in 4 or 5 days. 11 novellas and 23 manga volumes. I always say is I'm not one of those who says that mangas or comics don't count as reading. I say you can sit those down in one day and kind of wrap those up in one sitting, really. So I don't really count that as a full-on novel or anything. So I like to make sure I divide that up. 44,307 pages read this year, according to Storygraph. I had one DNF. That was The Passage, and I have 2 that are in progress still. That's Son of Neptune, Percy Jackson, I'm reading with my oldest son, just very, very slowly, and Toll the Hounds, book number 8 of Malazan. Well, that's coming along slowly as well, but I definitely would not be putting either of those in the DNF category, but I think I've went ahead and called it on The Passage. I don't imagine myself going back to it. So pretty good year, not very much to complain about. I think it was what kind of the resolution I made at the beginning of the year, not really the resolution type, more just like, hey, let's just clean some things up. And what I said was I wanted to spend less time on the socials and more times reading, because I was starting to say I was finding myself on Twitter a lot more. I was finding myself on Insta a lot more. I said this year, okay, why don't I ease back on it? I could have my designated times where I'm on these platforms, but I want to make sure that I'm always prioritizing books, and that's why I would put the phone in another room while I read. And I felt like it did make a pretty big difference this year because there was an increase in reading. But I also felt like I read a lot of great things in 2023, and that begins with my most read authors of the year. I have 6 authors I say are my most read for this year. Now, 23 of those, obviously, Ichiro Oda, because I did start reading One Piece this year, so obviously that was going to be eating up a lot of my schedule here. And then I was wiping out 2 very, very long series. That was The Expanse, and that was Realm of the Elderling. So I have 10 books read from both Robin Hobb and James S.A. Corey. A couple novellas sprinkled in, more so on The Expanse than with Miss Hobb. 6 from Ryan Cahill and Pierce Brown. I was doing my Red Rising reread before we got to the release of Lightbringer this year, as well as discovering The Bound and the Broken, which has quickly become one of my favorite fantasy series. And then 5 from Rick Riordan, as I am rolling through those Percy Jackson universe books with my oldest son. So very, very fun year. Got to really close out a couple of these long series. I am actually in the process, as we speak, of reading the final Realm of the Eldlings book, and I did finish The Expanse in December. So it's always fun to get those long series off there, but I imagine that my most read authors will be a little bit more sprinkled out in 2024, as I don't intend to do very many long series next year. But things can and will change over the course of the channel. And that brings me to my most surprising thing that happened this year. Now, I did a full breakdown of my biggest surprises of the year, and you can check that video out if you missed it. But just one singular title, I think that was my biggest surprise of the year. It's got to be One Piece. I did not expect to even be reading One Piece, much less as enjoying it as much as I am. It has been a great, great bonding thing between my oldest son and I, and I'm thankful that I did go ahead and give it a try. And I had many people assume it was because, people sent me those expensive box sets. People send me stuff all the time, guys. That doesn't encourage me or make me feel like I have to read something. It was just perfect timing. My son wanted to watch the show that was coming out, and I said, well, I'll go ahead and read it. Why not? And it's just been really fun for us to share together. My most shocking thing that happened this year. This one I would really call as much of a disappointment as much as a surprise, a shock, is that I feel like I discovered that Mark Lawrence just isn't an author for me. And that's very, very surprising because on paper, everything about Mark Lawrence says that his book should work for me. You know, it seems like every fan of Joe Abercrombie loves Mark Lawrence. For some reason, it's just never really clicked for me. I feel like his books hinge a little more on nihilism than grimdark, you know, Broken Empire. And then I started reading Book of the Ancestor. I just wasn't feeling his characters. It just wasn't really clicking for me. So I think the guy's a magnificent author. Clearly, people love him. And me saying that I'm not clicking with his books definitely doesn't take them away from you. But I would still definitely put that under most shocking because I did not. I really thought, okay, Broken Empire, you know, he was just kind of getting his feet under him. Book of the Answers is the one that everybody tells me I will click with a lot more. It was a struggle to get through Red Sister for me. And that was very, very surprising to yours truly. Some channel growth this year. Well, we did cross 100,000 subscribers. That was a goal. And the other internal goal that I had was 15 million lifetime views. And we did get that this year. So can't really complain on either of those. Let's look at that, break it down by category here. 21,573 new subscribers. That is down 2,027 from 2022. So pretty similar, you know, in that regard. It's a couple years now where, you know, that arrow is pointing down. Not fun, but when you got 2 green arrows in the other categories, you know, you take it as it goes because I had 5 million, guys, 5 million views in 2023. So that's super, super encouraging. That's up 900,000 over 2022. So not as many people are pressing that subscribe button, but they are, you know, I am attracting a lot more new viewers. So that's cool. So like I said, really hard to complain about that. 945,000 hours watched. That is also up 287,000 from 2022. So a lot more eyes on the channel this year. Like I said, maybe I can try to figure out what can get people to click that subscribe button more. But as a content creator, you know, these are the 3 categories I feel like you should pay attention to the most. And when I got 2 greens, I'll be happy. I'll always be happy. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, like my good man ℕ𝕤𝕣𝕠𝕜𝕤 once did say. Let's move along to my most popular content. This is kind of looking at some of the videos that kind of resonated with the audience the most in 2023. Top 10 books of all time. That was a video I put off making forever, but I decided no time like the present. You know, eventually I just want to make what the audience wants to see. And you guys want to see this, 216,000 views in 2023. So that's a big winner, obviously. I know people love them some top 10 videos. I'm not wild about making them because I feel like, you know, if you're like a sports writer and your editor just wants you to make slideshows and not actually write columns, I understand that, you know, that gets a lot of views, but, you know, it's not exactly what you want to be talking about. But again, I always like to give the people what they wanted, and they've been asking about that for a while. They've also been asking for me to talk to Murphy Napier, and that was something I definitely want to do. That was on my BookTube bucket list, is to get to talk to the First Lady of BookTube. And Murphy did come on to talk about nothing with me this year. 122,000 views, and just an awesome conversation. Just an awesome person. I mean, I think I could learn from Murphy. I was going to take advantage of that, and I'm so grateful that she came on. I'm looking forward to collaborating with her and Philip in 2024 as we talk about One Piece. 15 best books since starting this channel. 75,000 views. Did that one about a year ago. It was one of those where I had done like the worst books I had read since I started this channel, and said that people seem to like videos like that much more than what you love. So I made this video as a challenge. It was my videos that I liked the best since starting this channel, and it blew the other one away. So I was wrong. I continue to say you guys love positive content, and I love making positive content, so I'm glad you guys did enjoy that, as well as my top 10 book trilogies of all time, the 57,000 views. Got a couple of revisions to that, I think, but I don't know if that's one I'll keep updating constantly. But that's when I think maybe every few years, if I continue to read more trilogies. But it just seems like so many authors are going away from the trilogy. They moved on to the 4 or 5 books or more. I mean, you're starting to see the trilogy about as often as you see the duology, which is kind of depressing because I do still love the trilogy. I grew up watching like Star Wars, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones. I still love those trilogies. So, you know, I would prefer if authors would get back to doing that. And then my 95,000 subscribers live stream. This was one I didn't expect to see. Usually I take my live streams down after I finish them, but this one I was like, okay, I'll just leave it up until I do my next live stream. You guys have kept watching it for the last few months. That's at 50,000 views. So I don't know what happened there, but people didn't seem to enjoy that live stream. So usually I would say I want to put like some original content on this top 5 list, but I got to go with what the numbers say, and the numbers say you guys did like that live stream. I do hope I can do more of those. I just, you know, like I said, I try to usually keep those as an event, so I won't do them very, very often. Let's take a peek at my books of the month, guys. And I had to go back and watch these to remember what all I did pick for the books of the month. So let's go ahead and roll the tape. It is Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. I'm going with We Are the Dead by Mike Shackle. It's going to be A Fool's Hope by Mike Shackle. Is Of Blood and Fire by Mr. Ryan Cahill. It is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. It's been 4 years. I've been waiting for a new Red Rising book. Are you really shocked that this is my book of the month? It was a runaway blowout by Nemesis Games by James S.A. Corey. For the second time, Ryan Cahill, book of the month on this channel. Of War and Ruin, I've got to go with Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. I decided to go with my best friend's Exorcism, and that is why I'm going with Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. It Speaks the Nightbird by Robert McCammon. Hope that wasn't quite as jarring as it felt like when I edited it together, but it's just real quick, rapid fire. I'm going to go through each one here. 8 of those books did make my top 10 books of the year, and I think the only reason that some of them didn't is because I have that rule of one book per author. As we did see, I had a couple there that were repeat winners this year. I think Ryan Cahill and Robert McCammon, Mike Shackle had 2 wins this year. And that's fun. That's fun to go back and look at. Let's look at each one. January was Fool's Errand by Robin Hobb. That did make my top 10 books. It's easily my favorite book within the realm of the Eldlings, guys. I do love it so much. February was We Are the Dead, book number 1 in the Last War by Mike Shackle. And that would have probably made my top 10 if it wasn't for March's A Fool's Hope, which is book 2 in the Last War. And I did love that book so much. And in a lot of cases with these trilogies, it does seem like the middle book always has that middle book syndrome thing. Not the case here. To me, it was definitely the cream of the crop. April, Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, my first step into the Bound and the Broken universe. And it was just the tip of the iceberg of what was to come for me in 2023. May, my eventual book of the year, guys, this was Lonesome Dove. Just an incredible book. You don't really need me to regurgitate why this book's amazing. You probably know by now because I feel like I was one of the last people to read it. Lightbringer was my book of the month for June. I did get to read that one a little early, so that's why it was on June, not July, but it was very exciting for me. Obviously, I had been waiting for, a new Red Rising book since I started this channel, so without a doubt, it was going to be my book of the month. July was Nemesis Games by James S.A. Corey, book number 5 in The Expanse. Very good book. I think 7, 8, 9 all gave it a run for its money, but in the end, Nemesis Games was that one that took the series from really good to amazing, and I will always just remember that book fondly. August was Of War and Ruin. That's the one by Ryan Cahill I did pick. That's my number 2 book of the year, my best fantasy book that I read in all of 2023. One of the best fantasy books I've read since I started this channel. I can't get that through enough. I think I made that comparison to Storm of Swords, which is my favorite fantasy book ever written. And I think it's just because you have so many moving parts and all of them just work flawlessly. And 10 to 12 different character threads going on in that book. And every one of them were just amazing. Just a perfectly plotted book. And it's got me just itching for book number 4 in that series. September, Flowers for Algernon. Speaking of books that I feel like I was the last one ever to read, seems like almost everyone read this in The Outsiders in junior high, and I did not. So I was glad that I got to read both of those this year. And Flowers for Algernon absolutely deserves the legacy that it has. October, My Best Friend's Exorcism. That was one that wasn't actually originally on my spooky season list, but I just got too excited. It just has too cool of a cover. And the book actually inside the cover turned out to be really good. If you're into 80s nostalgia horror, if you're a Gen Xer, you're going to be in heaven, I think. November, Empire of the Damned by Jay Kristoff. Now, that's an advanced reader copy. It doesn't come out until February of 2024. And I don't know, I made a weird decision. I suspect it was be a weird decision because I've got so many people asking about it, is I didn't put that in my top 10 books of the year because I said I want to do it for next year since the book comes out next year, but I did have it as a book of the month. So it seems like I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out on that. With this, it's like, guys, next year, when this book is released to everybody, it's going to be in everybody's book of the year. And then I do this list next year, my top 10 books, and everyone's going to say, where's Empire of the Damned? You didn't like it? So I decided I would just make it count for 2024, even though I read it in 2023. So I have a big fat asterisk next to it next year. And then December, Speaks the Nightbird, Robert McCammon. It's the 3rd time he has won a book of the month for me because he's had 3 really amazing books that I've read so far. Really excited about the Matthew Corbett series, because it seems like it's going to be the next really good long series that I do get into, because McCammon, the guy is a wizard. So yeah, very exciting year. 8 out of those 12 there ended up in my top 10 for the year. It's always fun to go back and look at, and I think it's kind of fun to go back and look at how my setup has changed over the course of the year. I added a plaque, added different lighting, added a different camera angle. These are things that's always fun as a content creator to go back and look at and see how things changed over the course of the year, especially when you got that holiday weight still on your face. That's always really exciting, right, guys? But hey, it is the time for New Year's resolutions, right? And that's where we talk about our channel goals for 2024. Look, man, year number 5, I just want to keep it fun, because this could be the point where a lot of people just burn out and they just go away. I never felt like I was getting burned out, but I did feel like I was forcing some content. I was doing like 4 videos a week. I said, let's take it down to 3. Let's take it down to 3 videos a week. So I did make that transition this year. So I expected some of the statistics and the analytics to kind of drop down a little bit, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I felt like I was giving, I've always said I want to do quality over quantity, and I never felt like I was making stuff that was just crap. I just felt like maybe I was putting out so much stuff that, not everybody can watch that many videos. 20-minute videos, you're asking people to spend an hour and a half with you per week. I know everybody could do that. I don't expect them to. So I want to provide content for people who want it, but I felt like there was a good balancing act there, and making sure that I continue to make myself available as a dad and a husband. That's something that I feel like I definitely need to make sure that I keep the main thing the main thing. That's what we got to do here, right? But I do want to make sure that I continue to give you guys entertainment that you do like. I want to keep taking chances. I want to keep trying new things. I've got a couple of new ideas I'm kicking around right now, and I'll try those out over the course of the year, see how they work out. I want to make sure I continue to collaborate with some other great content creators out there. I already told you I'm doing that one with Philip and Murphy, but there's others that I want to collaborate with. In 2024, I want to keep going with Talk About Nothing. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love having discussions. I came up as a podcaster, so I love having those discussions, and I wouldn't mind doing a few more live streams than I did do in 2023. But in the end, guys, it's just been another fun year, and I had a blast with it. So I'm hoping that you guys will continue to take this journey with me. I'm not looking at any big milestones or anything this year. Again, I just want to make sure I'm keeping it fun, keeping it positive, and making this feel like a community that you guys want to be a part of. So drop on the Discord, hit me in the comments, all that stuff. I love talking to you guys. It's why I do this. I do this because I don't know anyone in real life that reads all these fairy magic books, as my real life friends call them, and I'm glad I get to talk to you guys about them here. So I would be interested in hearing about some of the things that you guys, looking back on this year, that you really did enjoy. Don't have to be about me. How about you? What was your favorite book of the year? Things like that. What was your favorite video I made? All these things. Is there any series that you picked up in 2023 that you just ended up loving? I would love to hear about them, guys. So drop in the comments, and I will talk to you there.